Hey, Financial Empower Movement. Just got done washing all my vehicles. Wanted to make a quick video on what my tips are for you for financing vehicles, buying vehicles, paying off vehicles, what you should do with cars, toys, boats, etc. So let me start with a couple things that I personally do, take it or leave it. One thing is, I always see people making these videos on the internet and they got Ferraris and Lamborghinis and McLarens, and you know they lease those or even rent them for the day to make a video. They do not own these things. They're underwater. If they were to lose their main source of income, they would lose them instantly, and that's not our goal. We want vehicles that no matter what, we're going to keep them. They're not going to drag us down. They're not going to bring us down. So let's start off. If you're at the bottom, if you're just kind of building up your finances, get the cheapest vehicle that you possibly can. Don't get in over your head with payments. Don't get in over your head with insurance and fuel costs and everything like that. So that's pretty straightforward. Hit me up if you want a video on a little bit more in-depth of lower end vehicle car buying. But let's talk a little bit about more middle vehicle and what I do. So if it is my daily driver and I use it for work, I am comfortable financing the vehicle, but only with an extremely low interest rate. This truck that you see behind me is financed at 1.95. At the time, I was getting CDs for 2.65, 2.85. So I said, why would I not finance the vehicle if I can put less money down and just dump that in a CD and make more money and have flexibility with my money were I to need it. That was a couple years ago. I still do owe a little bit on this truck. As soon as some of those CDs expire, I will be paying it off in full. And I don't want to get in my head over my head for vehicles. I don't want to go, right now we're in the middle of coronavirus and every manufacturer is 0% for 8 years and deferred payments and come and take it off our hands. Well, could I go get a very nice vehicle? Absolutely. But I don't want to get in over my head because who knows where things are going. I have a nice truck that suits me fine. I don't want to go get in over my head with some huge payment. Let's talk a little bit about modifications of vehicles. As you can see, I have wheels, tires, suspension, everything. This thing's got all sorts of modifications to it. Never modify a vehicle you owe a ton of money on. It is not yours, it's the bank's. Only modify vehicles that you own a significant amount of, you're not underwater, and you plan on keeping for a long time. Another thing is, with all that 0% stuff going on, if you have a big savings, $20,000 in the bank, $30,000 in the bank, $10,000 in the bank, when you go buy that vehicle, put zero down, keep that money in a CD, don't touch it, do not touch it, put that money in a CD, and that's your little backup fund. And if you have a tough month where you can't make the payment, close out that CD or go into your high yield savings and pay that monthly payment. So if you want a $50,000 vehicle and you have $50,000 in the bank and that's what that $50,000 is allocated for, go buy it right now, finance the whole thing, put zero down and hang on to your money, because at the end of that 5, 7, 8 year loan, with inflation, it's going to be easier to make that $500, $600, $800 payment every month than it is right now. So buying vehicles, this truck you see behind me, I am great. I'm a great negotiator. I'll brag about that. I'm a great negotiator. So one thing I do not ever do is buy my own vehicles. Now, of course, I sign the paperwork. I'm on the title. I shop for them. I find what I want. But I don't walk into any dealership with me being the negotiator because I am emotionally involved. I want this vehicle. I'm in love with this vehicle that I've chosen out. I'm going to be spending a lot of money on it. I let someone I trust go in and work the deal out for me. I'll be there, but I let them go and be the number man because I'm not tied to it. The truck you see behind me, I saved like $2,000 letting my brother-in-law negotiate the deal for me and not doing it myself. I would have taken the thing at $40,000. Instead, I got a little bit better truck in the color I want for $38,500 out the door. Another thing when buying new vehicles, always negotiate out the door. Don't negotiate monthly payment. Don't negotiate pre-taxes, pre-registration, pre-warranty. If you like warranties, get an out the door number. Get a number. That is what you pay, not a penny more, because otherwise you're going to agree at 35, and by the time you leave there, it's 42 with tax, license, registration, and a warranty, and you just negotiated off a number that you're never even going to see, and they can just add all that stuff in on the back end. Okay, so since we've been talking about my daily driver and my truck, wanted to walk you guys through my vehicles that I have at my property and that my wife and I have, and kind of tell you and explain my layout, and maybe it works for you and maybe you can get some tips. Maybe you want something totally different. So let's go into the wife's daily driver. She has a Jetto. It's all paid off. And would she like a new vehicle? Yes, but it's paid off. So let's keep it. It's still nice. Take good care of it. Why go and get into a big payment when you have a vehicle that's paid off and the insurance isn't too bad on it because it's a little bit older. It's a couple years old. So we're going to run this thing. We're currently saving up for a new vehicle, but we're not going to rush out and buy it just because we've got a little bit. We want a big amount in our savings account, in our CD, allocated for our next vehicle before we go buy it. Then we'll get a 0% loan, and we've got a nice little cushion, and we can pay that thing off as we go. So let's talk about toys. So we have this little Razor UTV. One thing I will say, I am a big guy. Toys, boats, trucks, off-road vehicles. I'm all about it. But never finance a toy. Don't do it. Just wait. We bought this cash. I will never finance a vehicle unless I have 100% of the amount and it's 0%. If it's 0% and I've got 100% of it, I'm going to finance it for sure, and I'm going to pay out of that account, and I'm going to make 1 point nothing in a high yield savings, and that way I'm getting a little bit of free money on the back end. But never finance anything with an interest rate that is a hobby or a toy. I'm fine personally financing things that I use as a daily driver, especially if it's for work, but never finance a toy. If you can't pay cash for it, you cannot afford it. Don't finance toys. They're depreciating assets. They're not going to make you any money. Please, that is the biggest thing that's helped me financially. I wanted this UTV a long time before I got it. And I saved up and I saved up and I saved up, and I bought it cash. And it loses money. I'm losing money on it. It costs me money to insure it even when it sits here for 2 months and doesn't go out. And it's depreciating rapidly in value. It is not an investment. It is a consumer item. So as far as toys, boats, anything like that, and keep in mind where you're going to store this stuff, storage fees, you can really get in over your head if you have a bunch of toys. So a couple things as far as what I'm going to be doing moving forward. I'm saving up. I got a little couple accounts earmarked for a boat, which I'm a long way off on, and for a new vehicle for my wife. But I'm not going to rush into anything. I'm going to shop around. I'm going to look around. Whenever I personally buy a vehicle, I go to 50 places. If you haven't been told 10 times no, then you're not getting a good deal. If you go into the first dealership and buy a vehicle, you are not getting the best deal. I guarantee you. When I bought this truck, it took me 3 months to buy it. And I literally had a couple dealerships that the sales managers would come out to me and say, hey man, please don't come back. Every time you come in, you find a new sales guy. He runs to me and says, this guy's got cash. He's got his own financing. He's ready to go. And he's offering X. At the time was offering 35 grand. That was very unrealistic. Everybody locally was at like 44 out the door. And I was like, why not come in low? I was at 35. And I shopped and shopped and shopped and shopped. Finally, in my mind, and I knew I was going to do this, I didn't come up. I just knew I was way too low. I said, all right, you know what? I really want the truck. I'm in a position where I can afford it. I'm going to drop 40. Well, I got a truck at 40 over the phone, negotiated, and that's when I let my buyer kick in for me, and I saved another $1,500, which I got to put into floor mats and tint and all the stuff you inevitably need as soon as you buy a vehicle. So I'm a little bit over time here of what I wanted to do, but those are some tips for buying vehicles, financing vehicles, what to do. don't get in. Biggest thing I'll tell you guys, and biggest thing that helps me financially, is I don't get in over my head. Right now we're in the middle of this coronavirus nightmare, and things are going pretty well for me still at work. I am fortunately still employed. Could I go out and buy a brand new truck and a Range Rover for my wife and a Corvette for the weekend? Absolutely, because they don't care. They need to move units, and they'll finance me at 0 down on all 3 of those things. Can I monthly afford that? Maybe. But if there's the smallest sign of a hiccup, if the economy goes down, which I have a feeling it might, I'm going to be screwed, and I'm going to lose a lot of money on those things. And at the end of the day, I'm going to be right back into a couple used vehicles, which is right where I started. So it's better to build a good foundation and work your way up paying cash for stuff, or financing at 0% with money you have. So thanks so much for checking this video out. If you guys have any questions, feedback, hit me up in the comments, and I'll be making a lot more videos for you guys. Thanks so much. Bye.